Say hi. Say hi.
Dealing with death is not something Natalie Banford thought she'd be doing from her Dubai villa. She, like most British expats, came to Dubai looking for year-round sun and tax-free living. But 2 months ago, the unthinkable happened, and her husband died, leaving her alone with 2 children.
The scariest thing is when it's actually happened, and then you think, my goodness, I'm in a strange country, I don't know the laws here, I don't know what can happen, and that's really, really scary. You actually feel quite alone and isolated because you're not in familiar territory.
Planning for your death or the death of a loved one isn't the first thing that foreign workers do when they come to the Emirates. It's most likely low on people's priorities in a country that sees people come and go all the time. But if you're not familiar with UAE law and you end up dealing with unexpected circumstances, you could find yourself up against a series of obstacles. One of the first is having your bank account frozen automatically. So if you're married and have a joint account, the surviving spouse will not have access to it. That's until the estate of the deceased has been fully executed, which could take months, and that's a problem if you still need to pay for bills and look after children. For Mohammed Maria, a Dubai-based succession planner, his advice is simple: have 2 separate bank accounts.
Things like parking tickets, credit card bills, utility bills, phone bills, car loans, mortgages, everything's got to be paid. It's the system here. And people need to understand that you cannot leave this country with a debt. You have to pay for everything.
Another issue is the country's adherence to principles of Sharia law, and that's important because the surviving spouse may be subjected to laws regarding sharing of the estate and custody of children that favour the male line. That means for a surviving single mother, a UAE court may decide children and money come under the care of the husband's side of the family.
Sharia law, again, there's a lot of misconceptions around it, how it works, why it works and so forth. I tell all my clients that Sharia law is mainly for Muslims and for people who don't have a will. If you have a will, the courts here will respect it, so it's important to have one.
Natalie was lucky and her husband managed to have a will in place shortly before he died, but she still needs to go through the courts here for it to be processed. She's expecting it to be finished in about 2 months.
Especially if you have children, you have to look after your children and make sure you have a will in place. It's nothing. The easiest part is making the will. So, you know, if you can, you absolutely have to try and do that. It should be at the top of your list of priorities.
Sound advice for expats living in the Emirates who don't want the lives of their loved ones to suffer even after they're gone. Ashraf Helmi, Inside the National.